We are looking at how to answer an F6 exam question in 10 easy steps, and we have reached our second step. Our first step was the requirement, reading the requirement and considering what question we would like to do first. Our second step is, of course, looking at the clock. Now, from the first step, I've already decided which question I want to do. Once I've decided what I want to do, I now want to see how much time have I got in order to do the question. So I will bring up the requirement, the first requirement that we saw from the pilot paper, and I will base pretty much most of all of our steps on this requirement. This question can be found on the pilot paper, the first question on the pilot paper called Peter Chic. Now, if you remember from the first step, we looked at this requirement, we read the requirement, part A asking us for the income tax payable, part B asking us for national insurance that is payable. But on the second step, what I'd like to do is I'd like to concentrate on the mark weightings. If you see the first step, the first part of the question has got 21 marks attached to it, and the second part, part B, has got 4 marks attached to it, giving me a total of 25. So I've decided I want to do this 25 mark question. I need to know how much time I've got, because remember, the exam is not just testing your knowledge. The exam is looking to see whether you can complete the task given to you in a given period of time. So we have 3 hours in the exams, and in those 3 hours, the maximum amount of marks that we can earn are 100 marks. 3 hours translates to 180 minutes. So if you think about it, I have around 1.8 minutes per mark. And that's what I would use to try and see how much time have I got in order to spend on a question. So if I look at these marks and do some calculations, for a 21 mark question, I've got 37.8 minutes. For a 4 mark, I've got 7.2 minutes. Now, of course, I've done these calculations to the decimal points, but say, for instance, you've come up with 37.8. There is no harm in going up to 40 minutes, really. Looking at the 4 marker, spending 10 minutes on that is perfectly fine. You don't necessarily need to stress yourself out to make sure you have spent just 7.2 minutes on it. Spending 10 minutes is perfectly fine, as what you will find is that in some questions you will overrun by a couple of minutes, and in some questions you will have some spare time available to you. But what is important is setting a boundary. For instance, in a question like this, which gives you 25 marks, you've got 45 minutes. Don't spend more than an extra 5 minutes. Don't spend 2 hours on one question. So to summarize our step 2, what we learned is that each mark has an allocation of 1.8 minutes. Once we've done the calculations, we can round it up to 5 minutes slots. So we don't need to go to the 0.2, for instance. We can go up by an extra 5 minutes.